Hello, my name is Alexis, and I'm an instructional strategist with Wayside Publishing, and I'm here to give you a quick walkthrough of our new edition of EntreCulturas. When you log into Learning Site, your EntreCulturas version, this current version, will appear looking like this. And to access materials, you can start with Learning Materials. So when you go into Learning Materials, it opened the last page I was at, but you can use the table of contents to navigate to a section. You can also use this jump to page. So if you have the physical textbook in front of you and you know the page that you want to go to, you can type it in and it will take you directly to that page. So that's if you have the physical textbook, you know exactly which textbook page and activity you want, you can jump to that page. You can also use the table of contents over here. So for example, in Unit 4, if I want to look at the Encuentro Intercultural or that cultural opener, I can click on that section and then click on the title. You can see up here, it tells me what page I'm on in the textbook. It looks very similar to the textbook page, and then any activities are directly below it. So here's an activity where they're filling in this Venn diagram. So they can do it on the computer. So you've seen I typed their answer in. They can type their answers directly into the computer. So in order to assign this to them, I would use the three-dot menu over here and click Assign, and then my students will appear. I've already assigned this, so I don't think it'll let me assign it. So I'm actually going to go back here. Okay, but anytime you see something you want to assign, you can click that three dots and assign. You can also hide this. If I don't want my students to see that activity, I can hide it. I can print the task. So if I'd rather a handout, I can print it. Preview is teacher view. So right now we're looking at student view. So preview would be student view or teacher view. I can share, so I can grab a link to this activity to post on any of my LMSs or email a link to a student. I can click share to create that link, or I could even post it directly to Google Classroom. You'll see PDFs like this sometimes as well. So in this case, I can download the PDF. I can print this as a handout, or students can type into the document and then download with their changes, and then they can add it and submit it that way as well. So there's a few different ways to do this particular activity. They can do it directly in here as a task, or they could use this PDF to do it as a handout, or they could upload it and submit that PDF. So then to find more activities with this page, I'm just going to keep scrolling down. And then I can move on to the next section down here at the bottom. So you can see which activity this is, and it aligns with the activity in the textbook. So this is activity 2 for this unit. This is a discussion forum, so students will post their reflections or their reactions to the questions up here. They've also seen them in the textbook. And they can also upload audio or video, attach documents, all kinds of things in this discussion forum. You'll also notice these can-do statements. So this is for students to update their progress on how they're doing with this particular objective. So now I'm going to go to my next section here. So I have a video blogger. So again, very similar to the page in the textbook and the activities right here. So students can just type in what they're seeing. And then down here is where the video actually is. And you can play it for your students. So you can just click play. You also have the option using these three-dot menu to turn captions on. You can also adjust playback speed. You can download the transcript or download the recording. So if you want to download the recording and send it to a student or post it on your LMS, you can do that. You also could just assign this whole thing to students so that they're watching it on their own. And then there's another activity down here. So I think one of the best ways to interact with this is you see the textbook content at the top, and then you can scroll down and see all the activities that are available for that particular section underneath. And then you can also decide to assign or hide them as you go. This one, students are putting them in order of preference. So they can drag these. And then they can submit when they're ready. Okay, I'm going to go into a comunicación section. And so así se dice is the vocab section. Observa is the grammar section. And then en camino is the formative assessment. So I went into a vocab section. We can see how the vocab is introduced. I can play an audio to hear the words being pronounced for me. And then it jumps right into activities. So again, this is an activity from the textbook. Students can write on a piece of notebook paper, or they could fill this out and submit it. Here's the next activity from the next section. So I can use these buttons down at the bottom to find them, or if I know from the textbook activity number which activity I want, I can navigate over here on the left-hand side directly to that activity. And then again, I can just click the 3 dots and then assign if I want students to do it online. Grammar section, I'm going to jump ahead there because I just wanted to point out there's an audio part for this as well. And the que observas questions that are in the textbook that help them guide their thinking about the grammatical structure, those same questions are down here, so they can answer them directly into Learning Cited Submit. So this is, again, an assignment that you can assign to students. And then there's a video with the grammar section. So you can play that for students, or they can play it on their own. You can download, you can post it, you can assign all different options for that video. And then for our En Camino, that's our formative assessment. You'll notice every time there's a rubric for the formative assessment, an answer document, and then the actual pieces that students are going to complete are here. So we actually offer tiered formative assessments, so you can choose whether you want to use a novice mid, a novice high, or an intermediate low version. It just depends on how much support students are getting. And then from here, I can assign if I want them to do it online, or I can print this out if I want them to do it handwritten. So with all of these assessments, there's typically going to be an interpretive task. So here they're reading, answering questions about what they read. An interpersonal task. This one, and presentational. So sometimes they're a different order. Here they're having a conversation, so that would be their interpersonal task. And then up here, they're writing out a post, so that's more of a presentational task. So you'll see all 3 types of tasks. These can-do statements are also present throughout, so students can reflect on their progress. Okay, so you see from the table of contents, each unit is made up of 3 comunicación sections. Sorry, trying to close this here so it's more clear. There we go. 3 comunicación sections. Each comunicación is going to have an así se dice vocabulary section, observa grammar section, and an en camino formative assessment. Towards the end of the unit, you will find the Mi Comunidad Global section, and that will be kind of like extra cultural activities to help students identify cultural aspects of their community and help them make those connections and comparisons. And then our Vive EntreCulturas, which is our summative assessment. These are IPAs, or integrated performance assessments, so they will always have 3 tasks in all modes of communication. You will see there's also a rubric written specifically for this assessment. An answer document. There's sample answers available for teachers. And then the first will be an interpretive assessment. So students are going to watch this video and then answer questions based on the video. Again, you can assign this here or have students do it on their own. You can print it out and have students handwrite. So that's the interpretive task. Interpersonal task. This particular one is an AP style task where the computer's asking them questions and then they answer. And then finally for the presentational task, they're making a menu and submitting it. So again, they can complete these online or they can handwrite. It's up to you. And after the Vive EntreCulturas section, you'll find the Gramática. So there will be a summary of the 3 grammar concepts that are covered in the unit. And you will also find a vocab summary with all of the vocab sections covered. And I like to point out, so here's the vocab list, and then below there's a little bit of extra practice. So there's flashcards, audio flashcards, and then matching. So you can assign these to students as well. Okay, I'm going to jump back up. So that's a brief walkthrough of a unit and hopefully how to access all those tasks. I'm going to jump back up to the top of this table of contents because I'd like to point out the resources tab here. So a few things that are useful. This assessment program. You'll notice if you need help with integrated performance assessments or using performance assessments, you can read this assignment guidelines document. We also have the incoming formative assessments and the Viva EntreCulturas summative assessments in folders. And then we have this folder of extra assessment pieces. They can be used for all kinds of things like midterms, placement tests, makeup tests. So there's just pieces in there that you can pull from. And then coming soon, we have alternate objective tests that they're working on right now. Rubrics, audio and video transcripts, graphic organizers, those are fillable PDFs. Lesson plans, teachers find these very helpful. It gives you suggestions of if you were going to teach this in 6 weeks and you have a 15-minute lesson plan every day, here's what it could look like to get through everything. And then some letters to parents. Okay, so that's all under learning materials. I'm going to hop over to my grades tab here. Anything that you've assigned or even not assigned and completed by students will show up in this grade book. Anything with a yellow dot is something that you need to go in and grade as the teacher. So you can click on it and view the student work. So the student wrote it in, and then you can leave a grade. Okay, so that's from my grades tab. Anything that's auto-graded will automatically appear, but anything that students have done that needs to be graded has a yellow dot. Assignments, this is a list of all the assignments you've assigned. You can also change due dates. So for example, if I want to extend this due date out, I can click show details and then edit. The students tab up here gives you a list of students. And the settings tab allows you to change any settings and also show hide content. I think that's one of the important pieces because right now students can see everything that you can see. So you can go in and hide. If you're scrolling through the pages like I was showing earlier, you can hide those things individually, but you can just go in here and hide any piece you want to. So for example, I might hide all of the in caminos because those are the formative assessments. So I would uncheck that. And I might hide the Viva EntreCulturas. So now students can see everything except the two sections or the in camino and the Viva EntreCulturas that I've hidden. So this is something you do need to go in and do for each class individually. Okay, so now I'm gonna move, actually, while I'm still on this screen, a couple of things here. The learning tools that has the instructional strategies toolkit. This is a bank of over 200 teaching ideas that you can use. You can also filter over here, and if you click on them, they have a description of what the activity is. This is where you would access student portfolios if they've been grading themselves on those can-do statements. And then I'm going to show you the library briefly. My library is going to be very full because I have everything that we publish, but yours will not be this full. I'm going to select the EntreCulturas Uno digital copy. So this is the textbook, the physical textbook. If you wanted it online, this is how you could access it. So this is page for page, the same as the textbook. I can't click on anything in here and do anything. This is just to purely look at it. So if you wanted to display this for your classroom, or maybe your students go home and they don't have a textbook, but they need to read something out of the textbook, this is how they can access it through library and then finding that book in the library. I'm gonna go back to my classes now because I do want to show you Nuang. So to access Nuang, both teachers and students will click on this Practice More with Nuang link. Nuang is a great source for providing independent practice, and there's also an interactive classroom game. So whatever book you have in your Learning Site class will automatically populate here. And students there's no assigning at this point in time, so students are just going in and doing work on their own. So you would essentially tell them, hey, I want you to go in and do Unidad Uno, Comunicación Uno. So they would go in and complete translation, listening, and pronunciation exercises. Also, there's a role play. So a role play is a dialogue between two actors. So they can preview the role play, read what's going on before they participate in the conversation in a variety of ways here. And down here at the bottom, we have chatbots. So it's the computer asking them questions about this dialogue and about themselves, and students are putting in their answers. For me to see how students are doing, I can go to the Progress tab. And under the Progress tab, you'll be able to see, I don't have any students in this class, but when you're in there, you can see what students have completed, like what percentage of activity students have completed. Play Live is a very fun interactive game for the whole class. So I can click Play Live and then decide which unit I'm on and then which type of game I would like to create. So if I click Listening Game, it's just going to create the game for me. I don't have to do anything. So it's creating the game, and then it'll prompt students to join. So students will be on their own devices in Nuang, and then they join directly from Nuang, and then the players will pop up here. And once the players are in, the teacher would select Start. Then what it'll do is it'll say a word, and students are typing in on their own devices as fast as they can and as correctly as they can the answers, and then it ranks them for each round. So that's a really fun interactive game to review vocabulary. Okay, so that was a very brief run through of Learning Site and everything that's available through your Learning Site for EntreCulturas, 2nd edition. And then also with Nuang that's attached to that book. So if you have any other questions or if you want to talk or schedule a time to chat, please let me know because we want to make sure that teachers feel comfortable and get all their questions answered and that you have a good time teaching with our brand new textbook. Thanks for watching.